This is Chew on This with your host, Monique Baker McCormick, and her co-host, Michael Van Tull, powered by the McCormick Report, Detroit's longest-running online community newsletter since 2008.
Well, welcome to another episode of Chew on This Detroit Style with Monique Baker McCormick
and Michael Van Tull. Glad that you're here with us, and we've got a great show for you today.
Yes, we do. Great lineup, but before we go into our guest, which is none other than Vickie Thomas.
Yep, the award-winning Vickie Thomas.
Yes. That's
Sure.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about some hot topics and things that are going on in Wayne County.
Let's see, Wayne County. What's going on? Well, we're in the middle of the mayor's race.
That's right.
Which is heating up. There's and I was wondering when it was going to start to heat up and when some of the candidates were going to start saying things
snapping it
about the other
other.
candidates,
That's right.
Carving out their turf.
Yes.
But it looks like it's they've joined the battle now, so it's on and popping.
Yes, it's getting interesting, and not only in that race, we have a couple other races that look very interesting on the west side, especially on the west side. I'm interested in the District 2 race.
Mm-hmm.
Really good candidates in there. We have the sitting council person, right, Angela Callaway. That's
yep.
right. And then we also have a former, right, city council person that jumped back in the race, Roy McAllister.
Yep.
And
former police officer, former councilman.
That's right.
Who has kind of kept a high profile over the last few years, even though he was not in office, but he knew what he was doing. He stayed out there, and so he was plotting his return for a while.
And then we have a sitting state representative in the race too, Helena Scott. So that's going to be a hot race, one to watch. You can basically flip a coin. We'll see. August 5th is the primary election. It is the most important election locally. The primary election. Most people want to wait until the general election, and it's too late because your candidate cannot get in if we don't elect them in the primary. So the first thing is first with any election, and the first thing in local elections is the primary. I that's one of the things that I have to really hit home with young people about, and even some older adults, because they say, oh, well, I'll just wait till the general election. Well, I'm sorry to tell you.
No,
it's too late.
And it's more than just signing, filling out the ballot. You have to understand what you're doing and the impact that, like for instance, it took me a few years to figure out I don't have to vote for all those people. And it says vote for not more than 16. I just need to make sure and vote for my candidate.
That's right.
Because if I don't, if you're not strategic on your ballot, you can end up voting for somebody else, and my candidate will lose out.
That's
so
right.
you just, and then, just like walking into the polling center and figuring out who you're going to vote for that day based on who gave you some of the material outside.
A piece of literature.
You got to spend more time than just that day walking up to the polling center. You got to study and know the candidates before then. It's just so much more.
It is so much more. And I always say too that if you don't know who you're voting for or why you're voting for them, don't vote for them. You don't.
Right.
You don't,
Right.
like you said, you don't have to vote for more than 16.
Just because it tells you can vote for 16, you don't have to.
Right. Because it actually dilutes the votes for the
your
person
that you want.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
that is a valuable lesson, and one that many people don't realize. So just vote for the people that you have read about or know about, or even ask someone to give them your opinion of that person. And it's about the work that they are doing or that the work that they've done. Don't look at just the promises of I'll do this, I'll do that. What have you done for me lately? Right?
I know that
question.
song.
Right. That's
Yes.
the question you need to ask.
Yes. And then if you think those proposals at the end of the ballot are confusing, they are.
And they're made that way on purpose.
Because
Yes.
there are a lot of things that people try to push through on a proposal at the end, and it's made confusing so that you can vote for whatever theirs is, okay? Whatever their proposal is. Another reason why you need to study the ballot before you go in. You know, days and weeks before. You gotta be ready. You gotta be ready for this. So I just think that those are some things that are left out. Everybody always says you gotta vote. Yeah, you do, but you also have to study, understand, and be strategic, and then yes, vote on the primary. That is so important because that determines who's going to be on the ballot in November.
In the general
yes.
election.
So you gotta, your candidate. Once again, if you don't go out and vote for your candidate, they might not make it to November because you didn't even show up on the primary on August. This year it's August 5th. So right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and we all know elections matter. Every election matter. As we see, they have consequences. Elections have consequences.
Yes, they do.
And this past election had major consequences. So, as you see, the person in the White House and all of the things that are going on right now, all of the chaos, that's because of an election. And of those that sat out of the election, I think sometimes, to me, that's even worse, because when you sit out and you don't vote, you actually vote for the person that is an incumbent, most likely, because they're going to get more votes than the least known person.
Yeah.
But when you don't vote, you do vote.
Yes. Right now we just got an alert that there was the jury has come to a decision in the P. Diddy, but we don't know right now.
Oh, wow.
But I can guarantee you that we will be talking about this case for months and months after today. So right now we just got an alert, but we don't know what the verdict is. But there will be a show in the future where we will address this, because whatever the verdict is, it's definitely earth-shattering. We don't even know right now, but we're talking about something that we don't know about. It's going to be earth-shattering one way or the other. Whatever happens today, we'll be talking about it next month and the month after that and for months to come.
Definitely, because this is a major case, and
yes.
I'm just so sorry to hear, that it's another black man down, and I pray for my black men, because, it's difficult.
It
just seems like, folks are always coming after our black man.
Yeah, it just seems like whenever a black man reaches a certain level,
status,
yes, of money, wealth, and popularity, that there's something coming that's going to tear him down. Smokey Robinson is dealing with charges right now. Bill Cosby, of course, America's Dad. Remember that? That was America's Dad. He had his time. Michael Jackson had his time. R. Kelly.
On and on and
yes,
on.
And now P. Diddy. It just seems like it.
Kwame Kilpatrick.
Yes, it just seems like it affects black men more than any other group. The high profile,
yes.
and you hit a level, and they're coming after you.
And, there's a different set of rules. Mm-hmm. And we always have to remember that. So maybe, someone else of privilege could get away with one thing,
yes.
but not you.
No.
So,
no.
And it's always been that. It's unfortunate. Let's also be clear that yes, maybe they did something wrong.
Yep.
We're not saying
right.
We're not saying. We're just looking
at not defending either.
Exactly.
But it is something about reaching a certain level, and then they're coming for you.
Or at least they're looking for something.
Yes. Yes.
So I just pray for our black men and our families, because the black family unit is struggling. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have our strong black men, our well-to-do men, then it just makes our lives, our community, so much more difficult to raise that village. It's interesting how these things happen, and we can see that there is some disparities there, and
they do have real challenges. I mean,
right.
You can walk down any street in the suburbs, and as a black man walks past a car, you hear the door locks, where people are afraid that he may do something. So you do hear that. We are usually not. We don't make as much money as other groups, black men. We need more black men in colleges. I mean, there's a lot of
issues,
yes. Substance abuse issues, anger issues,
mm-hmm.
But a lot of that is from this society too.
Right. It's the stresses that black men have to face,
and I think what happens is
racism.
Black men try to, in dealing with those things, and then peer pressure from our friends, our uncles, our cousins. It causes you to try to stay up and not be ridiculed or laughed at. So it's a lot of peer pressure going on. Mm-hmm. You're under pressure. You're not cool. You have to dress a certain way. You got to look tough. There's a lot of pressures, and I think what happens is black men end up succumbing to a lot of those things in order to survive. They have to find a way to survive through it.
Yeah, and maybe that's a show for us to do. To look at how we can help in that area. Maybe bring on an expert.
And some leaders of nonprofits that that are in place to help black men and families. So maybe we're going to need to do that because it's a big issue. We just kind of stumbled onto it right now.
And it's a deep issue.
Yes.
One that somehow we need to tackle. Mm-hmm. And so with that, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with our guest, Vickie Thomas.
Vickie Thomas, you all know her. It's a familiar voice, and she was the voice of WWJ for about 30 years. She's
and now she is the communications director for the city of Detroit. So we'll be right back. Thank you. Great. Well, welcome back to Chew on This. As promised, our guest Vickie Thomas is here today.
Yes.
We're so glad to have you. Thank you.
Well, I'm ready to chew on it.
All right.
And thank you for having me, Monique. We go way back.
Yes,
and,
we do.
I appreciate you reaching out and also your leadership. I know the times you ran and you just stuck to it, and
Thank
and
you.
you're where you are because of your commitment to really making a difference. So when the topic came up about making a difference, I said, oh, yeah, I like that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And it's nice to meet you, Vickie Thomas. Can we move so that we can see her beautiful face?
Okay.
Because I can just tell.
Oh,
okay, it's a little better now.
Yeah.
Yes. There she is. There she
move
is.
that over.
Award-winning journalist, reporter for WWJ for 30 years. And it's an honor to meet you. That bio, I was like, okay, I'm gonna need to stand when she comes into the studio. You know, something
no need
formal.
To stand.
You
I'm
know,
just a human being too.
okay.
But it's nice to see you. As I was telling you, one of my colleagues went to school with you, and
Absolutely.
I mentioned I was going to be on the podcast, and she said,
Great.
Well, make sure you tell them I said
One of
hello.
my cast tech from
Those technicians
Yes.
are everywhere.
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 aren't we?
But Trojans are here.
Hello.
Yeah. See?
Okay. All right. Well, we're running out of time here. So we need to
I
keep
hate
it.
you,
Yeah,
right?
right.
We need
Stop
to keep
being
it
a
moving.
hater, Mike. You outnumbered this
That's
time.
right. That's right. 2 Trojans on
That's
your
it.
back.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, so now you are in a new role as communications director for the city of Detroit. So I thought you had retired, took some time off, was going down to Bermuda for a little bit and stuff like that. But you came right back to work.
Yes, 2 weeks off I think I took,
Wow.
and began the new position in May of 2021. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute, and it's been a smooth transition. I mean, people always ask, well, how was the transition going from news reporter to communications director, covering many of the people that working with many of the people that you cover,
Yes.
including the mayor. And frankly, I mean, when I had the conversation with the mayor, I didn't give him an answer right away. I
Had to think about it.
do my due diligence and whatnot.
Well, with
but-
that resume, you could do that, you know.
right?
Yes.
And at that time when we met, I was approaching my 30th anniversary at WWJ.
Right, because you are Hall of Famer, right?
Yes.
Because of that, congratulations.
First
That's
African
awesome.
American woman in broadcasting.
Yes.
Congratulations. And if people did not know you, they would know your voice.
Definitely.
And that's
Yes.
a weird thing too.
When you go
Recognize
places,
my voice.
yeah.
I've always thought it was weird. Like
Mhm.
during my whole career, I was at a gas station not too far from here, on 8 Mile, and was paying the teller. And I mean, you don't have much of a conversation with the clerk, right? And whatever I said, he said, "Oh my goodness, you're Vickie Thomas from
yeah.
WWJ."
Yep.
That's like how he knew that. I don't know, but okay.
Your voice
We know.
is
We know.
distinctive,
That's right.
and,
It is.
And it's loved.
Yes.
Your voice is loved.
Oh, well, thank you
Yes.
so much. But so, I did my due diligence. I talked to people who had been in the administration before, and the opportunity that the mayor presented was just, it was really hard to pass up. And it was a position that really I made it what I wanted it to be, because it had been vacant for about a year. And so there was no playbook or anything like that.
And I actually that was probably better for you, right?
Definitely,
Because
yes.
You can move the things around how it best fit your needs. So,
Yes,
yeah.
so I reported to Tricia Stein, who was the chief of staff at the time, and the mayor, and that was it. And Tricia really taught me a lot. I mean, she's phenomenal. Her brain is, I mean, it's almost compatible to the mayor, but I just really don't think there's anybody that has the kind of brain that Mayor Mike Duggan has. And I have learned so much from him.
And what do you mean by that exactly? The brain, as far as how he thinks. I've heard that.
Thinks, how
before.
he moves.
Yes.
His intuitiveness, his ability to look forward. It's just
I
amazing.
believe all that. I believe all
and,
that.
and the fact, like like we were, God rest her soul, attending Irma Clark Coleman's funeral, and the video, I actually wrote the script for the video, but no. He threw it out the window and just went from the heart. So that video you saw, it was just,
from the heart.
It was from the heart, and it was so moving. And he's a one-take wonder. It doesn't. We don't have to edit. He just
he has it naturally.
Ability, yes, he does.
Yeah, I said that about him when I met with him. He looks you kind of like into you, like in your soul. It's funny how he, you know what I'm saying? He looks at you and it's like he's looking into your heart,
your
almost.
Inner being.
Yes.
What is she about?
Exactly. And he can read you just by looking at you. But one of the things that I will say, he is a man of his word. Yeah. When I first became commissioner, he didn't really know me very well. We met in passing.
Of course, right.
But when I met with him, I told him about the idea of the war on trash and how important a clean community is to the people that live in it, right? And it's that broken glass syndrome. The more glass or windows that's broken, people will break more, right? And we talked about that, and he was like, you know what? Whatever I can do to support. And after that, we worked on getting trash cans in the community. Yes. Decorative trash cans, which in Northwest Detroit we didn't have at the time. And then some years later, he took over the contract for the freeways because I would complain like, look, Mr. Mayor, can we do something about this, Southfield Freeway, because that's right there in my district. And he went right in. So I can say that he is a man of his word.
And we also have, and we partnered with you one year, but and I always thought of you because when I was a reporter, I covered your efforts to have people just be more aware, especially the kids too. Right. You start early. Teach them early.
That's it.
And so we have our Keep Detroit Clean campaign every year, and I love that campaign. And we have the banners that go on the trash cans.
That's right.
So I've always thought of you every time that comes up.
Yeah, because we actually kind of
and it works.
It works. It does.
Really does
it makes
work.
a difference.
I mean, I still get annoyed when I see people throwing trash out the window.
I hate that.
And we do a whole thing. Don't do this. Do this.
Right.
Don't just throw it out the car window. Put it in the trash can. But I think one of the things that you help spur is people taking pride in their neighborhood.
Love where you live.
Love where you live. I remember that. And you see the effects of that today.
Oh, definitely. Thank you, my good friend Vickie Thomas, for coming on today. You are just such an inspiration to so many. Your life in media, and now as the Director of Communications for the City of Detroit, you truly make a difference in Detroiters' lives, especially with your Black Business Minute segment that you did for so long. And of course, we have a great friend in common who recently passed away, Luther Keith. He will be dearly missed. Again, thank you, Vickie Thomas, for all that you do in Detroit. We really appreciate you, and we'll have you back on soon.
This is Chew on This with your host, Monique Baker McCormick, and her co-host, Michael Van Tull. Powered by the McCormick Report, Detroit's longest running online community newsletter since 2008.